There's this popular quote, "If you don't design your life will be designed by default." When I first read that, I thought, yeah, that sounds kind of nice, but it can't possibly be that simple, right? I mean, there are so many factors, external forces, obligations, and responsibilities that shape our lives. How could I have any control over them? What I discovered, though, is that we actually have a lot more power than we think. Welcome back to my channel, where we explore the boundaries of human potential and talk about how to make big changes in your life and career. So, you're working 9 to 5? Barely have time for yourself? You wake up tired, go to sleep even more exhausted? Everyone says this is just how life works. But what if they were wrong? They said this lifestyle was impossible. Until I tried it, and everything changed. I know this might sound kind of extreme, but stick with me because I'm going to show you exactly what I did. For years, I believed I had no choice. Wake up at 6 a.m., rush through traffic, spend 8 to 9 hours at a job I didn't love, only to come home too tired to live my life. Weekends felt like recovery time, not freedom. I thought, this is adulthood. This is the American dream, right? But deep down, it felt more like a trap. Then one day, I stumbled upon a simple YouTube video. Someone was talking about intentional living. They weren't a millionaire. They didn't live in Bali. They just designed their life differently. Less stress, more time, better health, real happiness. And I thought, what if I tried? Before I dive into the 3 things I did, let's paint the picture of what my old life looked like. I was working in corporate America. I had a stable job, benefits, a decent salary. But here's the thing. I hated my job. I spent 8 hours a day in an office that made me feel more stressed than fulfilled. I spent most of my waking hours on tasks that didn't align with my interests or values. I felt stuck in a cycle of monotony, and I longed for something more. But it seemed like everyone around me was content with this way of life. So I convinced myself that this was just how life worked. That's why when I saw that YouTube video about intentional living, it caught my attention. It was like a beacon of hope in the darkness. It gave me permission to question the status quo and consider if there was a better way to live my life. And here's the kicker. It wasn't some guru living in a tropical paradise talking about how I could achieve this lifestyle. It was an everyday person sharing their own journey. It showed me that it was possible, and it inspired me to take action. So I decided to try it. I wanted to see if I could create a life that was more fulfilling, more aligned with my values, and gave me back control over my time and energy. So let's break down the 3 things I did to completely change my life. 1. I downsized my entire life. 2. I started freelancing. 3. I cut out all unnecessary spending. First, I downsized my entire life. I sold almost all my stuff. I moved into a much smaller place outside of the city. Why? I'll tell you what went through my head. At the time, I was paying way too much for rent in a noisy, busy neighborhood. I realized that my living situation wasn't just a drain on my finances, but also on my time and well-being. I spent way too much time cleaning, organizing, dealing with noisy neighbors. My room was a mess, so I couldn't even relax in there. Plus, getting a repairman to fix things took forever. I often found myself having to take time off work just to wait around for someone to come fix something. I felt like I was wasting my life waiting for people to come fix things for me. It got me thinking why I was holding on to so much stuff in the first place. I started to realize that I was letting my past self dictate my present. Like, why did I need 5 extra pillows that I never use? Why did I need 3 winter coats even though I live in a warm climate? I had so much that wasn't mine anymore, so I started selling things online. The process was easier than I thought. In fact, it felt good to declutter my physical space and simplify my life. The money I made from selling my stuff actually helped me move to a new place. I found a really cute studio apartment outside the city. The rent was half of what I was paying before, and it came with a private outdoor space. Plus, it was in a quiet neighborhood. I loved it. Moving out of the city also saved me on transportation costs and time. I didn't have to pay for gas or maintenance on my car anymore because I could walk or take the bus everywhere I needed to go. The second thing I did was start freelancing part-time. Before taking this step, I honestly had no idea how to start. I was scared I wouldn't make enough money and worried about all the risks involved. But despite all those fears, I knew I needed to find a side gig, something that would buy me back my time. As I delved deeper into the world of freelancing, I learned that my skills were valuable and in demand. I started small, taking on a few writing gigs and some graphic design projects. At first, it was tough. There were times when I questioned whether I had made the right decision. But I kept going, and slowly things started to pick up. Found a rhythm, learned to manage my time effectively, and deliver quality work. And then something incredible happened. I started to enjoy what I was doing. I loved the flexibility and autonomy. I could work at my own pace, choose my own hours, and work from anywhere. Now here's the thing. I didn't set out to become a full-time freelancer overnight. I just wanted to earn a little extra money and free up some time in my schedule. But as my freelancing career grew, I started questioning my 9-to-5 job. Was it worth sacrificing my time and energy for? I considered the lack of fulfillment I felt in my corporate role and the growing satisfaction I was getting from freelancing, and that's when I made the leap. I quit my job to pursue freelancing full-time. It was scary, yes, but also incredibly liberating. Third, I cut out all unnecessary spending. When I started this journey, I had no clue how much my spending habits were hurting my financial progress. You know those subscriptions you forget about? Gym memberships you don't use? Streaming services you barely watch? I had way too many. I was also guilty of eating out way too much. I thought treating myself occasionally was fine, but it turned into a daily habit. I'd come home after work feeling too tired to cook, so I'd order in. And when I went out with friends, I felt pressured to keep buying rounds of drinks, even if I didn't want to. Even found myself shopping way more than I needed to. I told myself it was retail therapy, but deep down, I knew it was emotional spending. It was until I started tracking my expenses that I realized how much money was slipping through my fingers. I couldn't believe how much I was spending on non-essential items. It was a wake-up call. When I decided to cut out unnecessary spending, I wasn't trying to deprive myself. I was doing it to invest back into my life. Money I saved wasn't going into someone else's pocket. It was coming right back to me. I started cooking more at home. It wasn't always easy, but I discovered a passion for cooking, and it saved me tons of money. I also canceled my gym membership because I found free workout videos online. And you know what? It was tough at first, but over time, it became a part of my routine, and I didn't miss the gym at all. Today, my day looks radically different from a year ago. I wake up at 7, make coffee, and take a 20-minute walk, no alarm screaming at me. I work 4 to 5 hours from home on freelance projects I enjoy. Cook my meals slowly, mindfully. I read a book in the afternoon or work on a side project. I end my day with meditation or a call with someone I love. No rush, no pretending. Just peace. And guess what? I'm not missing out on anything. I'm gaining everything. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, okay? But can I really do this? Yes, but it starts with one decision question: the life you were told to live. Maybe you don't want to live in a van. Maybe you love your job. That's great. But what's not okay is being exhausted, being trapped in a life that was never designed for you. You can redesign it, piece by piece. Here's how you can start today. Audit your life, write down what drains you versus what energizes you. Cut one toxic thing a habit, a person, a routine, just one. Create space-time block 1 hour every day that's just for you. Learn a remote skill: writing, design, coding, consulting. The internet has made freedom possible. Define your own version of success, not Instagram's, not your parents'. Yours. They told me this lifestyle was impossible, too risky, too uncertain, too unrealistic. But now, I wake up excited. I go to sleep in peace. And for the first time in years, I feel alive. So no, this lifestyle isn't impossible, it's just different. And sometimes different is exactly what you need. If this message hit home for you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And remember, your life doesn't have to look like theirs. Make it look like yours. See you next week.